Yes, you're tuned in to Hump Holiday Wednesdays right here on QuietTimeRadio.com, where we play the best of smooth R&B. If you got a request or you want to get in on this conversation that we having about the causes and the effects of the independent woman, give us a call, 404-418-6656. I am your host, David Blaine. We do this each and every Wednesday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on QuietTimeRadio.com. So, basically, we kind of been discussing our topic today, which is the causes and effects of the independent woman. And we kind of started with defining the role of the woman and the man, because you have to have, people have to have positions. Then, you kind of, if somebody needs a little help in another area, you just kind of, you kind of play catcher on that particular thing. So one of the things that I pointed out was, back in the day when women were doing their part in the homes that we considered the stay-at-home mom or whatever, a lot of them were not given the proper credit for just how much work that they put in the house. So some of them kind of felt the need to be liberated. So how do you do that? So the next thing would to be to prove that they're worthy. And well, on the line, I've got Emmy award-winning poet Hank Stewart. He's really big in the community, does a lot of things, just all over, man. Very influential. He's actually out here in the community, so he has a chance to be up close and personal, with the kids. And I think I heard him say before, if you want to see what the future is like, then you have to look at the generation of the kids that we have. So on the line, we have Hank Stewart, and he's going to give us, his point of view on the causes and the effects of the independent woman. Hank, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, David. How you doing? Thank you for having me on your show.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure having you.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. I don't know if you went far enough in what you were saying when I came on about, women back in the day and how they were treated. Women were the bloodline to the family,
right.
I think. And I think men, a lot of times, the proper credit that they would do. But let me just go a little bit further and say that.
Okay.
So what you had was, I think you had some abuse back in the day. Not all, and I definitely I wouldn't paint everybody with the same brush, but you had some abuse.
Right.
You had some neglect of our sisters. And when the family was coming along, I think what you saw was, when there was a female child that was born, I think what you saw mommy do was, you ain't gonna have to go through the same, BS that I went through with your father.
Yes.
So I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna make sure that you got a high school diploma and a college degree and a postgraduate degree if possible, because you would not be dependent upon a man like I am. You would not be waiting on the check to come home like I had to, or part of the check to come home. Another part went to the other lady across the street or across the city.
Right.
You with me?
Right.
So I think what you had is a lot of moms who said, you're not gonna have to do that. You're not gonna have to go through that. So I think you saw a lot of with parents, particularly female parents, push their daughters, to go to school, to go through, and the daughter saw that. She saw daddy wasn't where he needed to be.
Right.
He was a good daddy, but he went home all the time.
Right.
And so I think that's what we're experiencing right now. Some of that, Now again, it's you would never paint anybody with the same brush. There's a whole lot of, causes and effects.
Right.
But I saw that more than not growing up. Being a '60s baby. I was born in 1963, and one of my favorite movies is a movie called it's called Dangerous Beauty. Dangerous Beauty is a period movie. It's made in the 16th century in Venice. Okay. And if you ever get an opportunity to check it out, but women back in the 16th century and 17th century and all that, they were considered second-class citizens.
Wow.
They couldn't earn money. They couldn't read. They didn't. Women were not taught to read and be educated.
Right.
And so I think, a lot of that comes along when women now have, and they always had a brain. Women have always had a brain and had an opinion and had, something to contribute. But now what you see is women who understand that, and they're like, no, I'm not going to. So some of it is due to, we have to look in the mirror as men and say, what part do we play in that?
Yes, absolutely. And now, like you're saying, with all of that that's happened, I think personally it would be pretty hard to trust somebody. So it's a lack of trust because of, like you said, during that period, so many women were abused. The roles that they played were looked down upon, and it's a bad thing. And now, like you said, we're dealing with the repercussions of, the problem that has been caused. And again, men, if you're listening today, that's why everything starts with the man. But in order for you to lead somebody, you got to be following the Lord. You got to be following God, because when you're following Him, then you're outside of who you are and what your flesh want to do. And that is a protection for your family in the long run, because when it comes down to it, you're basically the leader of the family. Keep it locked right here, Hump Holiday Wednesdays, right here on QuietTimeRadio.com.
You're tuned in to Hump Holiday Wednesdays on Quiet Time Radio.